Hello viewers, here is the Air King, or the Air Queen, 16-inch electrically reversible window fan. This is the model 9155. It's fragile, which is not a good sign. And supposedly it's made in the USA, although we all know that it's not really, because it says below that, from domestic and imported parts. But at least some part of the manufacturing was done in America. What exactly that is, I don't know, but sometimes you just have to settle for something because something is better than nothing. So, let's see what we have here. I don't know why they did this, but the fan was shipped in this box and not in a second one, so the box sustained a fair bit of shipping damage, and I can only imagine that the fan did as well, but hopefully not. I think the other side of the box is the same, but it's in better condition. So let's look at that. So it has Stormguard, which just allows you to close the window behind it because it mounts onto the window frame, and lightweight, easy to mount, though I have my doubts about that. And 3 conductor cord and plug. Alright, let's open this up and see what we have here. Now this is a 16-inch. I have 2 20-inch ones from under various brands. One of them is the Sears, and then the other is the Dayton one that I haven't really shown too many videos of yet. And those 20-inch ones are quite impressive. I'm not sure really how much air this one's going to move. I think this is, at least on the product page, still advertised like a whole house window fan, although it doesn't seem to advertise that on the box, which is fine. I really only use it for 2 rooms. I usually mount it in the computer room, and then I open the windows in the bedroom and it just draws the air through. This way I don't have to have a fan in the bedroom at night. Or, of course, in the day I could do it inversely. I could put the fan in the bedroom and then open the windows in the computer room. Okay, so I already see a problem, but let's proceed anyways, ignoring that situation. So we have a piece of cardboard here that has to come out. Maybe easier to open it from the other way. Oh, I see how this works. So, you know what? That was a pretty clever packaging, and it looks like it was very effective too. And there's no styrofoam or anything like that. I'm going to preserve the carton in this case, but everything here, you wouldn't want to keep it as completely recyclable or degradable. Okay, so here is the fan itself. I'll get it into the camera momentarily. Okay, so here's the fan itself. Appears like it may have ball bearings. The motor looks to be the same as the one that's in the high velocity fans. That's definitely a pretty substantial motor. The blade is certainly not as substantial. It's a pretty shallow pitched blade. I was expecting it to be a little bit more substantial. I have suspicions that this is only going to perform maybe as well as a typical box fan, or less, which is fine in my use case, but awfully bulky fan for that kind of performance. Okay, now the problem that I mentioned when I was first opening it up is that the Sears window fan that I've used for years, the screws go on the back. And so the screws go in, if you're looking at the window, the screws go on the outside of the frame and it hooks on. This looks like the screws have to go in the side, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to set that up correctly. So what I may do is I may put a block of wood on here, screw it to the wood, and then I'll drill holes in the wood to hook onto the window, to screws on the frame. Because this, the windows here are very cheap, and I don't think the side of them is even strong enough to hold the fan. So here's the manual. This is all in very good condition. It came with mounting screws, 4 of them. Even came with a template. That's pretty cool. Very useful. And here's the Cfm ratings. Supposedly it's pretty quiet. Probably a PSC motor with those relatively low power drives. And 970 RPM is pretty slow, so maybe this will be quiet as well. It's got a parts diagram on the back, which is kind of neat. Está en español. Está en inglés también. Aquí está. I'm going to have to look up that number of that motor and see if they use it on different fans. So that's good. It unboxed very nicely, and everything looks to be in good condition. The cord is super long, which is great because a lot of times there's not an outlet exactly near the window. Cord is, I would say, 8 to 10 feet, somewhere in that range. It is a 3-pin cord, of course, the stinking fused kind, but whatever. I mean, in all fairness, I've never had a case yet where the fuse goes out on one of these things, so I guess there's no complaining to be had. Alright, let's go ahead and plug this in. I've already got the kilowatt meter out. I'd like to say I was prepared for the video and did that intentionally, but I can't say that. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. We'll begin on intake low, and I'm just going to have to kind of hold it here because I don't think I can get this to stand up by itself unless... Well, no, I don't want to do any funny man stuff here. Okay, let's just start it up. It's got a pretty cool startup sounds. And it's not outrageously loud. There's a decent amount of air. It doesn't run very smoothly though. It's certainly out of balance, which seems to be a running trend with the Air Queen. I'm not sure why they can't make a blade correctly. And it's starting to increase in speed a bit. It's cold down here, so the motor probably is just cold. The front guard is metal. The rear guard is plastic, which is kind of unfortunate because that's going to add some more noise, and the sun is going to do a number on that over the years. So we're at 0.63 amps, which I think was in fact exactly what it's supposed to be. Nope, it's supposed to be 0.55, 0.60 in medium. So it's drawing a bit over spec, which is curious. Alright, let's go to medium. Okay. And let's go to the high. Oh my gosh, look at that blade. We're going up the blade, but the whole thing just shakes. I think the image stabilization is kind of taking the shaking out, but it's definitely shaking. Outrageous. And it's only a little plastic blade too, so that's really out of alignment. Great. And the spin down should tell us if it's ball bearing or not. that's definitely going to be a ball bearing motor. So, granted, the out of balance thing isn't such of a concern with the ball bearing motor, because not only can the ball bearings take a fair bit more abuse than a sleeve bearing, they're also easy for a mechanical person like myself to replace. The average consumer is not going to replace the bearings, but if they did ever go out because of the blade being out of balance like that, it's relatively easy to replace the bearings in one of these. So as long as it doesn't make a vibrating noise in the window, which I tend to think the cheap windows in this house will cause a problem, I may just leave it. But it looks like perhaps that blade is heavier, so maybe I'll just put a blob of glue or two on the other side of the blade and see if that fixes it. Alright, let's go to the exhaust. Yeah, you know, it does actually move a decent amount of air. This is not going to move air through the entire house, but I think this could certainly move air through a couple of rooms. Certainly move the amount of air I want it to move through my use case. In fact, the blade is visibly warped on the... You can see it's not even symmetrical. I don't understand what it is with the air clean on these blades. Almost every air clean fan that I've used has a balance issue, and if it wasn't for the balance issue, this would really be a great fan. Up until the moment I turned it on and saw how badly it shook, everything was pretty good. The packaging was secure, everything is in good cosmetic condition, the manual was nice, everything seems fine, stands for the blade balance. Alright, so it's very consistently that blade at the bottom that's an issue. So maybe I will try to balance this. It shouldn't be too hard. Alright, so that's the unboxing and initial checkout of the Air King 9155. It's a neat fan. I've wanted one of these for a long time because I remember seeing these years ago all over the place, and then more recently they just kind of vanished. So now I have one, and aside from the blade balancing, I'm pretty impressed. I wasn't expecting it to have that ball bearing motor.